First fish. Only took like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
One and a third cup, please. Exactly that up. Where are we headed?
Rae Lakes. Like probably 8:15.
That's pretty early.
Yeah. You just have to be a little colder at night, you know.
Like your videos candid or look inside it or just walk by?
Whatever you want.
Whatever you want.
like the Kirk was not that rainy.
What?
Trout of the day. There we go.
Unreal.
day.
It's like they're stacked on top of each other. It's kind of cool.
The lake. hustle.
Getting that close to the lakes. I remember this part of it going down, but I feel like we were on the right.
So that when we go to the competition,
The place where we fished, right? And then we camped at Saddle Pass. Separately, we drove out.
All right, so that was our backpacking trip. July 4th weekend, 4 days, 3 nights. It was more like a short little half day on Friday, and then a full day Saturday, Sunday, and maybe like a half day on Monday. We started the hike at Onion Valley Trailhead for Kearsarge Pass into Kearsarge Lakes Basin, and then up to Glen Pass and into the Rae Lakes Basin. From there, we just came back mostly the same way, but took a stop to camp at Kearsarge Lake number 2, and then headed back out the last day. Our trip mileage ended up being around 25 miles total. Total elevation gain was 6,200 feet elevation gain. Yeah, it was a beautiful hike with so many lakes and features. My second time doing this hike, but it's always nice to have a solid group to join in both the hardships and all the beauty that the area had to offer. I did it with a group of 9 others, 10 including myself. It was a hodgepodge of new and old friends. I love getting to know everyone and getting closer with the folks that I already knew. I really appreciate everyone's efforts in putting up with the hardship that was this 4-day backpacking trip, and really appreciate just the positive attitudes and good times that we were able to have as a result. Thankful that everyone is flexible and not too caught up on any single plan, and we were able to shift our agenda accordingly, dependent on weather or other conditions. A dead battery that one of our group members had in their car. We arrived early on Friday, got a good start with a short hike to Flower and Gilbert Lake. And we did some fishing at Gilbert Lake. It was surprisingly easy to catch some trout, but they were a little on the small side, so we didn't really end up keeping much. We moved on to Flower Lake, where we set up camp. There's a bunch of already established campsites at Flower Lake, flat patches of ground which are perfect to set up camp. There were also a horde of mosquitoes that were just pestering us as we were setting up, cooking dinner, and just hanging around at camp at Flower Lake. Most of us all had mosquito nets, thankfully, mosquito head nets. It was an eventful first evening as we were waiting for one of the cars to arrive late and meet us at Flower Lake to set up camp. They had originally told us that they would come by, we were estimating probably 6 p.m., at least before sunset, but we didn't hear from them or see them up until around 10:30 p.m. Yeah, it had us a little worried, but thankfully we were able to meet up and get the whole group together that night. The next day we started heading over above Kearsarge Pass. Kearsarge Pass from Flower Lake wasn't too difficult at all. It's a relatively short hike from that point. I believe it's only around 2 miles from Flower Lake to Kearsarge Pass. We didn't spend too much time at the top of the pass because it was very busy. We descended the pass and grabbed a quick lunch, and then continued on taking the high route around Kearsarge Lakes over to Glen Pass. Glen Pass was quite brutal. I've done this route once before, and I had remembered that it's pretty difficult, but even knowing this, Glen Pass still took the breath out of me. It's a very brutal, steep pass with a bunch of switchbacks. Doing 2 passes in one day really took it out of our group. After climbing the pass, we had to change plans. Our original plan was to camp 2 nights at Rae Lakes, just to be able to spend our time up near those lakes. But After doing those 2 passes, we decided instead to camp one night at Rae Lake and then head back out to Kearsarge Lake and just camp at Kearsarge Lake before heading out the last day. Rae Lakes was beautiful as always. The fish there were biting every single cast. One of my friends, Christina, she had backpacked in with an inflatable boat, and we all took turns paddling around those lakes in that boat. It was an awesome time. So thankful to have friends who are willing to pack in a couple extra weight just to have a little more fun. Everyone has their own luxury items when they go backpacking, and it's nice to have a variety of those luxury items in the group. And we caught a couple of fish in the morning the next day, and I was able to cook 2 of them up. I should have just kept a couple more fish. I felt a little bad because they were kind of small, but honestly they were biting on every cast, so in hindsight I should have just cooked up a bunch to have a nice trout breakfast. But I only cooked up 2, did a chili lime seasoning on one and a Asian sesame soy seasoning on the other, and kind of had everyone in the group try it and have a little bite. It was excellent. Definitely looking forward to having more of those type of trout meals or fresh fish meals. So after hanging around at the lake a little bit in the morning, just to try and get some time in at Rae Lakes, we headed our hike out to Kearsarge Lakes. We basically underestimated the mileage every time, so I think it was a little bit of a mental toll to get the extra miles in that were unexpected. Thankfully the weather was good for the rest of the trip. Actually, the second day there were some thunderstorms rolling in. You could see lightning, hear the thunder, so it was a little bit scary when we were going across Glen Pass. I was a little concerned that the storm was coming towards us, but it changed direction a little bit, so we didn't get hit by any of that rain or lightning. And yeah, the rest of the trip it was great weather. We ended up at Kearsarge Lake for the 3rd night. I believe it was right next to the 3rd Kearsarge Lakes, in between 2nd and 3rd. And we were able to catch sunset there. We got there a little earlier than the other nights, and we washed up, had some dinner. One of my friends, Brian, he had a great idea. Him and Tommy, they had a great idea to try and share from some information to educate each other about random topics. So we settled down and got to share briefly. Brian educated us about strokes and how to prepare for them, how to watch out for them, the key signs, and important prevention. Very thankful for that piece of knowledge. Tommy, he educated us on survival techniques, how to build a shelter when you're out without any protection from the elements. Although I hope I'll never have to use that type of knowledge that either of them shared. It is good information to keep in hand. Aaron always shares random bits and pieces of knowledge all the time, so he threw in a couple pieces of information about Diamox. A couple of us had taken Diamox to fight the altitude sickness. He just mentioned about how drugs have a half-life, and after 5 half-lives, that's basically considered that the drug is out of your system at that point, which is good information to know, so thankful to have that now in my back pocket. And then Christina, she very thoughtfully packed up a little kit to create a fire starter. She brought these little wax candles, egg cartons, and some lint, and we put the lint into these egg cartons and then poured the wax in there, and that's apparently a very good fire starter that will burn for 5 or 6 minutes to help you start up a fire. So now I have that little egg carton piece now, and I'm looking forward to using it to start up a fire whenever I'm struggling to start that, which happens quite often. Yeah, that was our last night of the trip. A couple of us caught the Milky Way rising up above the mountains once the sun had gone down, and got to watch all the stars. There were so many stars in the sky. It truly blows my mind every time I look at the stars. Just the fact that there's so many galaxies, universes, planets out there. It's really hard to comprehend this scale. The next day, I tried to do a little fishing, but no luck at Kearsarge Lake. And then we got a quick and rapid pace start to try and get back to the cars as soon as possible. Peter's car had broken down right at the trailhead on the first day. Thankfully, they were able to make it up the mountain before his battery had died, but with the dead battery at the back of mind, we tried to make it down quickly to try and not run into any issues. Thankfully, we got down and we were able to start up his car, and they were able to go into the nearest town of Independence and get a new battery for the car to make it back home safely. Another reminder that there's so many things to be thankful for all the time. All the little things that just fall into place on these trips, along with everyone's flexibility. So yeah, so that was a really great trip with a really great group of people, and hopefully next time we'll be able to do a more chill trip. It's not as fast paced. It will give us more time to hang out and hang around camp and just spend a lot more time sitting together and conversing rather than just trudging through the trail all day.